Hey amigos fam, welcome back to another episode. It's Danny Dugan just checking in. Got a cup of coffee to share this morning with my buddy Scott, and we are excited to chat today. So I know everybody knows, everybody loves Scott, but just wanted to reintroduce him to everybody. Scott is Amigos' chief of strategy, has been on the team for a whole decade now, so over 10 years, and we are getting together today to celebrate a birthday. And for anybody who's curious, it's not Scott's birthday and it's not my birthday, but we are celebrating Water for Chinandega's 5th birthday today. So we're gonna dig in and talk about a bunch of stuff. But Scott, I just wanted you to jump in, say hi to the whole Amigos fam for everyone who's listening.
Hey everybody. I even wore the original Water for Chinandega in Spanish t-shirt to commemorate the a big birthday.
That shirt has seen some good and some hard days out there.
It's seen some nasty, sweaty days.
So I just wanted to paint a picture for everybody, and for everybody kind of venture back in time with Scott and I as we kick off this little reflection for Water for Chinandega's 5th birthday today. This dream really started probably about 9 years ago. And just to paint a picture here, it was me and Scott and John, Kristen and Jeremy, maybe another couple other amigos were thrown into that. And we all got together for dinner one night. And it's hilarious. We were having the Nicaraguan cuisine of pizza and wings. And we were sitting around, I was renting this little itty bitty house in Montserrat, and we were sitting around in the living room, and it was kind of one of those, friends hanging out, but also a time for us as a team to vision cast a little bit and dream up of what could be. And everybody kind of had different ideas of what the future was going to look like and what we could do together. But I remember Scott was the first to mention, I think we got to get water to everybody. So Scott, can you, as much as you can remember, can you share a little bit about what was going through your mind and heart, even all those years ago before Water for Chinandega started, to kind of put this dream in action?
Yeah. So when, my family, I lived in Nicaragua for a few years before I joined Amigos, and Amigos was pretty famous for lots of things, but one of the biggest ones was water systems. And the way we do water is drastically different than a lot of other nonprofits because we're helping bring water into people's homes. So as everybody knows, it is a faucet. It is running water 24/7, a faucet in the kitchen, a faucet wherever else they want. They can put as many as they want in, eventually bathrooms and toilets and showers. And at the time, we were just doing what is now known as Plan 7, so community development. So it starts with leadership and moved into water and sanitation and health and education. And we were doing this for 7 years. And we had this rhythm of adding a community or two every year. And I actually remember even a year where we didn't add a new community. And as we're sitting around chatting, I just had this moment of thinking, what we do from a community development standpoint is awesome. It really is. It is transformational because it helps take people from where they are, helping to realize what God has for them, and not only with infrastructure, but with, as we talk about often, the mentality and the confidence and being good neighbors and building a community. Like transformation happens, and at the same time, water changes everything. Like if you can have access to clean water, it'll impact education, it'll impact health, it'll impact economic opportunities automatically. Like all of those things are necessary for a community to grow. But water can really have the biggest jump in development, I think, than any other thing. And so I remember us sitting there and I was thinking, hey, what if we were to be the organization that we're with our partners, the one to help bring water 24/7 to every single house, in all of Chinandega. And not knowing the reality of the size of Chinandega, we've all been all around it. We've been up to near Honduras. We've been over to the ocean. We've been up into the mountainous area. But just thinking, we don't have the info, we don't have the data. But what if we could be that organization that were to help bring water to everybody's house?
So, we had that dream started 9-ish years ago, sat on it for a little while, worked on the pieces of what was it going to take, and really kind of turned the dream into this is the reality of how we're going to do it. So 5 years ago, the team got started on saying, okay, we're gonna expand this as much as we can. What do you remember from those beginning days 5 years ago when Water for Chinandega was born?
Yeah. So we had a small team, myself, Brian and Walter, where we were actually the strategy team. And so we were kind of doing monitoring evaluation and kind of helping looking at what the organization's doing as a whole and helping guide and shift directions. Um and we just decided to start and say, hey, let's the three of us, we're gonna do this. And we actually were able to work with a church. Want to give a shout out to Northridge Church that funded our first full community of La Picota. And we were like, hey, what if we were to do this? And Northridge said, we'd love to be a part of that. And we said, oh gosh, now we have to start. And so from there, we looked at what does this look like? Because we had the team that knew how to do. We have our infrastructure team is awesome, engineers and the architects and the plumbers and everything that's needed to make a water system possible was already there. And all of a sudden, here we are entering a community with a short-term perspective for the first time in Amigo's history of like, we're just going to go in and see how it works, doing water. And at the same time, we did bathrooms at the same time. And ultimately, La Picota was such a great community that they ended up becoming a Plan 7 community, but it helped us learn the process of what was good, what was bad, what could we shift, what dreams did we have that were crazy, like, hey, 100% of the people or 100% of the families, we had this 100% thing with Amigas where we want to impact everybody. And you realize that as time goes on and as the project goes on, you're going to have the outliers of, well, that house is a kilometer away. Can we afford to do this? And maybe you have the family that would rather use their hand dug well in their property for whatever reason. And so we learned a lot with that first one, and then all of the communities ever since has been a learning project. But yeah, that was that first one, and then from there we were able to add some teammates and really get into work with the local municipalities and talking to them of, hey, here's our dream, which I know is also a dream for them as well, that every single house in their municipality will have clean water as well.
So Scott, I know you and I talk about this all the time, but for everybody listening, share with us the scale of what we're talking about. Because when we hear water for everybody in Chinandega, how big is that? How small is that? So walk us through how many communities have we figured out don't have access to clean running water, for as much as we can, as much as we know, and then the scale of how many people does that represent?
Right. So communities is a loose term because of the way that the communities see themselves down there. Some are part of sectors and so that's a loose term, but we're looking at over 100,000 people that we know of that don't have access to clean running water.
If we think about the scale of 100,000 people, that's so many people.
Right.
Just to pause and think for a second, and to think about our little corner of the world, for anybody who's listening who's been to Chinandega, you can imagine the communities that we've gone to. They're on our good old buses about 2.5 hours away. So if we think all of those little corners that we've driven to, all those dirt roads that we've gone down, inevitably have people, and those people we have figured out are waiting for clean running water. So the scale is just immense. I would say this is one of the greatest undertakings we've ever done as an organization to say, as you said it perfectly, every family who wants access to clean running water, as we work through Water for Chinandega, they're going to have the opportunity to get it. It's
Right.
extraordinary. I know you share this, I share this. We kind of giggle about it a little bit. For anybody who is joining us on a mission trip, that means we've got years of work with shovels, years of work with pickaxes.
Yep.
So please
Yep.
continue to come and join us.
Yeah,
Um,
and the fun thing is you never know what you're gonna get when you come visit us because this last year we were digging ditches right alongside the ocean for a little bit. So that was awesome. And then we've been in the deserts of Saltillo and the hills of Villanueva. So, it's always an experience to see who gets the soft dirt, who gets the hard dirt, who gets the pure rocks. But ultimately it's just it's a fun experience to be in the various types of ditches with people from all over the country and the local communities and families.
it's one of those things where it's like, okay, expect hard rock, be grateful if it's not.
Right.
So
and 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 here's a tip. Don't look for the shade under the trees because with the trees come roots.
yeah,
So enjoy the nice sunny spot if you want to ease your time digging.
yes. Yeah, choose wisely, right? So obviously, we're celebrating Water for Chinandega's fifth birthday. That's 5 years. A lot of lessons learned.
Yeah.
What are some things that come to mind when you think, what have we learned? What have you learned? What's the team learned through this process over the thousands of families that we've already, impacted over the past 5 years?
Mhm. Wow. So from a learning perspective, I think you mentioned earlier how people have been waiting and it's true. Like we have communities that have heard and seen what we've done and have come to us and saying, hey, we would love to be a part of this same thing. We know that there's a cost. We know that we have to pay a little bit. We know that we have to do all of the labor, but we will do whatever we have to do to make this happen. If we were to step back and look at 100,000 people, as we talked about earlier, that's a ton. And looking at the distance, looking at the realities of how many wells is that and tanks is that and all that, but to know that when you turn on the water and you see how many hours are saved of people's time and how many parasites are gone and healthy kids and education opportunities and economic opportunities that happen, that it is a big old volcano that we have to climb to make this happen, to be able to hit the goal of every single home. But man, is it worth it? When we do those water inaugurations and we turn on the water, that's a blast. But there's nothing like seeing the joy of a homeowner when they open up that faucet for the first time and they look at us and they're like, is this going to be like this all day, every day, this much pressure? Absolutely. And so I would say that's just the biggest learning is it's going to cost a lot from a people, from a work perspective, from a time perspective, but man, is it worth it?
Yeah. So speaking of that, and you kind of started to hint to this a little bit when you see somebody turn on the faucet. It's just this you get goosebumps. It's this overwhelming feeling of like, wow, this is real. I know you've been a part of tons of moments digging in the ditch, building water systems. You've been a part of a ton of water inaugurations now, and it's probably hard to narrow down an impact or two. But what are some moments that you can remember where you just thought, wow, this is something I'm never gonna forget from our work with
Yeah.
Water for Chinandega?
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, I mentioned earlier just about, the churches that have supported us and through this. And so we love the fact that all of our supporters they love certain things about Amigos. Some love water, some love Amigos as a whole, some love the school. I mean, everybody loves everything, let's be honest. But everybody has I would love to be able to support whatever project. And we've had a bunch of churches come alongside and say, hey, we would love to support an entire community. What does that look like? And how can we be a part of the groundbreaking? Can we be a part of the inauguration at the end? And they've come around alongside of us and the community to say that, we're joining you. We can name all of the communities from La Picota to Los Balcones that we just finished in La Concepcion last year, that churches have come alongside and supported. Um, and they've been able to say to their congregations, hey, this is what we want to do, and we want to be able to bless not Amigos, we want to be able to bless the people of these communities. And then obviously we have our other foundations and our friends that support us as well, that they come down and say, how can we can't argue? You can't argue with running water in a house.
Yeah.
And so to be able to see that and to be able to connect two big loves of mine, which is Amigos for Christ and a local church. And to have those two come together and say, we love each other and we love serving our friends in Chinandega is great. And then I get two for the price of one here.
2 for the price of 1, 2 for 1 today.
2 for 1 special is watching local communities in Nicaragua and Chinandega that we've finished their water systems and they've said, we would love to go serve someone else. How can we go dig in another community? And so that was born years ago, where we had communities started volunteering, and then communities that are in the middle of digging, when they find out that we're actually digging more than one water line at a time, we're in another community, they've said, well, when can we go dig over there? And it's just really cool to watch the heart of service grow amongst our Nicaraguan friends, to say to they're not just simply receiving, they're not simply owning their own project, but they're giving. They're saying, hey, we might not have the finances to be able to help another community, but we can go dig. And then all of a sudden you realize the people from the northern part of Chinandega have different fruit than the people that live closer to the city. And they start sharing, and this is what our cuajada tastes like, and these are our tortillas, and these are our mangoes, and these are our chiles. And it's just a really fun experience to not only to witness it, but to know that I just can't help but think that God is just sitting up in heaven, looking down and smiling, saying, like that word juntos goes
This is
so
how
much farther
it's
than
meant to
the
be.
Amigos community and a community in Nicaragua. But it is all of Chinandega is working together to make this happen.
I love that. No, truly, it's like, as you say, God, looking at everybody, it's like, this is how it's meant to be. This is how we
Yep.
were meant to be together. This is how we were meant to support each other and care for each other. No, it's super powerful. And,
I'm
even
just waiting to
community.
find out when the first inter-community wedding's going to be. When a chavalo from one community happens to fall in love with a young lady from another one, and then the first Amigos intercommunal relationship starts.
Oh, I'm sure it's in the works. No, that's good. I think about, these past 5 years, and then even, going, rewinding even more, the past 9 years of just like, you truly planted the seed that night when we were talking. It's like, and everyone was kind of like, how can we do this? How can we do this? How can we do this? And obviously our team grew, and our ability to serve grew. Everything, has really grown and evolved over these years. So you think about how much has already happened in 5 years since we officially started Water for Chinandega.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know, Scott, you're a great dad. You got your 4 little ones. They're growing up. Water for Chinandega is like your 5th kid. You have seen it from its inception. We're part of making the dream come true. What hopes and dreams do you have for Water for Chinandega as we move forward?
So when we started this, we actually called it Plan 2030, because it was like, hey, we could probably do this in 10 years. And that was before we ever talked to a mayor to find out what their water situation was really like. And it was before we visited any community. We visited hundreds of communities. And so our original thing was, hey, maybe by the year 2030, which is 5 years from now, we could be done. And then once we found out the reality, it's like, okay, it's going to take a little bit longer than that. But I still think, starting now, I think in the next 10 years, we could probably make this happen. The amount of growth that is happening from people coming alongside of us and saying, hey, we want to support this because we see the impact that it's having, not only in Nicaragua, but with their groups and their churches that come down and support. But we want to make this happen because we realize what clean water does. And so I would love just to be able to see the end.
Yeah.
I look forward to the day, like I always say this, a good nonprofit is always working itself out of a job,
Yeah.
and so I look forward to the day when Chinandega doesn't need clean water.
Yeah.
And that we get to come back and visit the communities. Maybe they're working on in different projects, and we're, the schools. I mean, we can dream all different kinds of things for the Department of Chinandega, but to be able to go back and visit and say, oh man, not only am I gonna go to La Picota, the first water for Chinandega community, but when I walk in, I know that I can open up that faucet and I can drink that water without fear, without reservation, that it's going to be clean water. And all the people that were there digging with us at the beginning can talk about the stories, can talk about the rainstorm that washed the ditch that we had already covered up clean, and we had to go take out. Remember, and we can talk about all the funny things that happened throughout the years, and ultimately give thanks to God and to everybody that made it happen. And then to think about, well, what does water for Leon look like? What does water for Esteli look like? What does water for all the different departments of Nicaragua look like? Knowing that, 10 years from now, once we all have water here, and everybody knows me, I got my Chinandega map behind me here. I don't know which way I have to move to make that happen.
That's good. Yeah.
That's my home away from home. It's like, it's always got a special heart, but I also know that God has big things in mind, and that we've really rolled into a great rhythm. Walter and his team down there are absolutely killing it, and just looking forward to finishing the job.
I love that. Oh, thank you, Scott. And thank you. We got to hop on here and celebrate Water for Chinandega's 5th birthday. I'm sure we'll do it again for the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th birthday until we're moving, like you said, to Water for Leon or Water for Matagalpa or Water for Rivas. It's funny because our team comes from all over the place. We were lucky enough to have, we have a team of over 200 people, and a lot of them have picked up their lives and moved their families from other parts around Nicaragua. So it's funny, people are taking bids like, oh, if we end up in Leon, I want to help with that. But this whole, it's not even a project, it's a vision. This whole vision that we have, you started it. So I just wanted to say, for everyone listening, thank you. Thank you for starting the vision, for sticking with it. And I love what you just said of, I'm going to be with the vision until we see it through, which is super cool too. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to be sappy or anything, but it's the bigger team, because one of the, knowing how we did water before I ever even showed up on the team inspired my family, amongst other things, to come join Amigos, because it is such a do unto others as you'd have done unto you, and this was, the seed was already planted. We just figured out how to kind of soften up the soil and water it well.
Yep.
Pun intended. And and we're seeing the fruit, and this is a big juntos, all of Amigos together is making this a reality.
Yeah. No, thanks, Scott. And for our Amigos family listening, whether you are out there on a jog right now, or you're driving in the car, or you're at work, or you're hanging with your family, we just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of all that we do. Thank you for fueling life transformation. Thank you for believing in Water for Chinandega and all of the other amazing things we get to do. So we wish you the very best, and we love you, Amigos fam, and looking forward to you guys checking in on our next episode. So thanks again, Scott.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
See ya.